Welcome back to Leader Podcast. Did it break?
I hope not. Because you know what? This is my favorite mug I've ever gotten from this place because it's just big.
Yeah.
And I did have one of these that broke. And then I stole this from Caleb Maeda, who still had it in his box from the Cross Creek Network's Summit. And he had it in his box as he was packing up. I was like, you never opened that. He's like, no. I was like, do you want it? He's like, no. I was like, can I have it? And he's like, yeah.
I'm shocked he didn't want it since you taught him how to drink coffee while he was working
He's
here.
a 2. I think he's just being nice. He probably did want it.
He did want it. R.I.P. Caleb.
I feel bad.
Leader shout out?
Yeah, let's do a leader shout out.
All right, great.
I believe this one goes to our very own Uncle Mario.
Yes.
Also known
Uncle
as,
Mario.
I nicknamed him affectionately today. I don't know if it's going to stick or not, but I nicknamed him the vaccine. Because we were playing basketball, and he called himself one week the mid-range monster. And so I started abbreviating it, and I called him the MMR. And then
Which isn't the actual, it would be MRM.
I know. I was like, wait, that's not right. It's okay, vaccine, that sounds funny.
Gosh, that's great. I don't mind.
We're talking about Kaeler Moore, by the way.
Kaeler Moore. I like the vaccine. I'm gonna see if I can help that stick.
All right.
That's fantastic.
I don't think he appreciated it very much, so you have to read that moment.
Do you know what he did for the costume party a few weeks ago?
I do not. Please tell us.
He went to his so Kaeler, first of all, shout out. Kaeler actually leads 2 Connect groups.
Yeah, he does.
He leads 11th and 12th graders at 9:45 and 6th graders at 11 o'clock. And the reason for that is that we had openings in both, and he was discussing both, but he didn't want to choose between them. He just wanted to love both of them.
Look at that guy.
So that's what he's doing. Anyway, so he went to his 6th graders, and he let them decide what his costume would be. And then he went out and procured it. Like, he had them vote on it like 3 weeks in advance, and then like the day before the costume party, he's like, I can't find it. I was like, you better find it, which he did.
He was Mario, and he wore like a pillow, so you get a little chubbier.
A little heft.
It was awesome.
Yeah,
it was
I
so good.
hate people who have to do that.
All right, but we're gonna do a giveaway.
Let's do a giveaway.
So Christmas present here.
Yeah.
And
It's
a pop socket. Can't wait to see this on
a t-shirt.
Shout out to Tommy Curb, who won last week,
Yep.
and the future winner.
We're gonna go find
and a Christmas mug.
A Christmas mug that reminds us of you.
There you go.
And it's going to be for...
It's open to interpretation. It goes to none other than our very own, our favorite, the one and only, the can't be replaced.
Oh, Mr. John
Hodgkiss.
All right, Mr. John.
You win.
I'll get you a really good
Can't wait
cup.
to see this pop socket on your phone either. That'll be so funny.
Oh, my goodness. Hey,
right.
5 ways to care for hurting kids.
Woo. That's heavy.
It's a big one.
Let's round out the year with
I know, right?
a banger.
Yeah, but listen, we're all in contact with hurting kids, whether we know it or not.
Yeah.
So number one way, know their story. If you don't know their story, you don't know if they're hurting.
Yeah.
So beyond their name and what school they go to, you're finding out about their family. You're finding out about things they're afraid about, the things they're worried about. You're knowing their story, which is why we harken back to last week when we said be 10 minutes early and leave 10 minutes late.
Yeah.
Those are prime real estate for getting to know the story of the kids that you meet.
The program gives you the opportunity to have the relationship. It gives you something to do. But really a lot of the care happens in the margins.
Yeah, 100%.
So, get to know their story.
100%.
The second thing is when someone lets you probably can't hear, but
no, they definitely can't
screaming
hear that.
bloody murder behind our shoulder. Which leads me to this very serious second point of caring for hurting teens. When they share something with you, pray with them in the moment rather than just saying, I'll be praying for you.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
That does 2 things for you. Number one, they get to experience that moment of prayer, which is great. But second, you don't lie.
Yeah, you also don't lie.
Because we've all been there when we say with
I'll
all
be praying for
well-intentioned that we're going to pray for them, whether we mean it or not.
Yeah.
And we forget, or we just say it because we're good Southern Christians.
Yeah, and it's also okay to just make that an awkward moment. Usually we don't say that because we don't want it to be awkward. it's all right to make it awkward.
Yeah.
It gets them a little bit more comfortable with prayer, which is a byproduct.
Yeah.
But it usually isn't a moment that feels uncomfortable. If they're hurting, they're desperate for a cure.
Yeah.
And so prayer will help that for sure.
Number 3.
Know what additional resources are actually available, right? If you have a kid who is contemplating self-harm, we've got cards that you can hand out that have the suicide hotline and a suicide text line on them.
Yeah.
Be aware that our church will offer counseling services often when people need those. So you can refer them to us, or you can approach us and let us know that that's going on. You guys are also all members of the community. So somewhere you probably know about resources we don't even know about.
Yeah.
So share those resources prolifically, right? So that we know what you have and you know what we have.
Yeah.
So that the stuff that's a little beyond our scope, and there are often going to be times when hurting kids are beyond our scope, that we can refer them to folks who can really help.
You have no idea how many things are beyond our scope.
Everything.
Let's be clear.
Most everything.
The 4th idea is find a way to partner with parents. So this is a principle that we talk about a lot, obviously. Whether it relates to hurting teens or not. But the better relationship that you have with parents also gives you just another avenue to check in on kids, how they're doing and stuff like that. And it's nice if you can procure or build that relationship prior to the quote-unquote crisis of the hurt. But oftentimes it's tricky. You might not even be exactly sure how to go about doing that. I get it. The way our building is separate from everything else does make that a little bit more challenging than in other contexts I've served in. But oftentimes the crisis will actually usher in an opportunity to get to know the parents. And so view that as an opportunity rather than a frustration or maybe even like a hurdle. I know there's been times where I called a student who, or I called a parent who needed to be aware of something that the student had said, and I had never met that parent before. But that conversation helped, blossom into more of a connection point with parents that I probably otherwise never would have ever reached out to that kid's parent for any reason. So.
Yeah, for sure. And the other piece of that is if you get to know parents ahead of time, sometimes they're the ones who are revealing to you the hurt that their kids are struggling with.
Yeah.
Right. Most of the time, parents that I've cultivated some kind of relationship with will invariably say, "Hey, can you reach out to, meet with, talk to, pray for my kid? Here's what they're struggling with." It's another way to know their story. Knowing their parents helps you know their story better.
Yep. Number 5.
Oh, I thought you were on number 5.
No, you are.
Show up.
Yeah.
You just got to be there. The more consistent you can be in leading their group, the more consistent you are in sending out text messages, the more consistent you are in remembering their prayer requests and bringing it up to them later, the more consistent you are in the life of a kid, the more likely it is they're going to share with you when they're hurting.
Consistency is so key too, because you can pray for them at that one moment and sort of mentally say, I performed pastoral care. Here I was. The moment
check.
The moment has happened. But if you can put things in your life, like calendar reminders and whatnot, to actually be consistent and check back in, those are the things I think that even beyond, you can pray the student and that can mean something, but follow up the next day or the next week and the week after that and the week after that and the week after that. Yeah. That's, a lot of people are good in the crisis moment, there for you, praying for you, bring a meal, whatever. But the hurt doesn't immediately dissipate and go away. I mean, you all know this. And so as much as you have the ability for and bandwidth for, find ways to show up, remember big things, remember big days, remember holidays.
Set reminders in your calendar for that kind of thing. I'm not going to remember it after 2 days from now. Let's be honest, 2 minutes from now. So if it's a thing I want to remember to follow up with on a kid, I'll almost always put a ping in my phone so that I don't forget to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Great.
Story time. Hard left turn. So,
speaking of hurting kids.
Cool. Yeah. So, as you know, we had the costume party, and one week we decided to announce it for real, because there was so much that went on at the costume party.
That costume party was off the hook.
But by the time we were like, we got a costume party. One week I was like, I don't know if everyone knows all that. Like, I didn't even know one week in our staff meeting there's a hayride. Like, let's tell people that there's going to be a hayride. Like, let's let them know what's happening.
Yeah.
And so on a Wednesday night, if you were here, you probably saw it. If not, you can get a chance to see this video here on screen if you're watching over on YouTube. If not, definitely go check this one out. But one of the events was pumpkin bowling.
Yeah.
And so we broke out the tables and said, based on, like, each table gets a different element of the night.
And you're going to act it out.
Or portray it creatively.
Yes.
So one kid got thrown into a stack of chairs to portray Angry Birds. And another group did the costume contest with judges and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And one group, pumpkin bowling. And so shout out to this student who will remain nameless, but not faceless because you're about to see him on the screen. He gets rolled as a pumpkin. Now let me try to explain this. So he was the pumpkin.
Yeah.
So he would need to curl down a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were going to go somersault vibes, and they were going to roll him into the bowling pins. And so they go to roll him, and they get a little bit of lift on it.
Yeah, they don't really push.
And so they go to flip him, and they flip him, but they don't get enough. And so he goes head first into the floor.
Yeah.
And then, all right, take two. And then they get him around to be the bowling ball.
Much less injurious.
A great sport about it, but I was slightly nervous for his spine.
I was like, I definitely have an incident report happening here.
And he just shook it off.
He did. I was fine. It was fine. It was great. It was fun. I was like, so afterwards, fun. I was like, come over. Let me look at you. Let me make sure. Do I need to call your mom? No, it's fine. And
Dr. Dare into the rescue.
It was so fun.
Where would we have been?
So fun.
Let's crash land this thing.
All right. Love you guys.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. We'll see you in the new year.